Grady Bonzel,
Here.
Dennis Sneeden, Matt McKenzie,
Here.
Marilyn Kumro,
Here.
Wally Henson.
All right, moving on to public comment. Appears there is no comment tonight, so we'll get right to number 3, public hearing on ordinance 1795 to add plat amendment and plat correction procedures to the subdivision regulations. So it is 6:01, and I'll formally open the public hearing.
Members of the commission, this is an ordinance we've talked about both in November and January. We set the public hearing in January. It just basically adds a couple minor tools to help with both with a plat amendment and a plat correction procedures. And it adds a little bit to the city code. It adjusts a little bit of one section and adds 2 other little sections to the code.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Ken or Zach? Okay, well, we'll make it, I don't see any other public comment, so Ken, is there anything else? All right.
No, we have to keep that short.
So at 6:02, I officially close the public hearing. And I would entertain a motion. There, it's in the packet. It's like on page about
The very
3.
beginning, yeah.
Page 3?
Yeah, 3. I think.
Oh, I move that we approve the site plan review.
Nope.
Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, that's the wrong one, okay. All right, yeah. I move that we recommend for approval an ordinance amending the text for Chapter 18 subdivision regulations, Section 401, general procedure, and adding Section 405.5 plat amendment and Section 404.7 plat correction to the City Commission.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Grady, seconded by Mary Ellen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion passes.
Thanks for having that written down, because there's no way I would.
That's a lot of words. That's why I appreciate the packet.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to number 4, site plan, EV charging station, addition to the 24/7 travel store. Zach, is that you?
Yes, sir. So the proposal is to add 5 DC fast chargers for electric vehicles
To the north side of the property, which will be north of the dog park that is currently there. In my findings, if you go through the list of the questions on the actual application review there, A2, the name and address of the owner and contractor have been identified, although the engineered stamp is not on this set of plans. Although for them to obtain the permit, there will need to be a set of engineered plans stamped before I go ahead and actually give them the permit. A8, location and type of illumination was not included in these plans. A9, there is a proposed monument sign in the plans, but there were no details of the sign other than where it would be going. A12, there's nothing on these plans that indicate there is a plan for the runoff due to the change of the current elevation of the property. That was more so when it was on the south side of the property, not as much so on the north side of the property. A14, the current zoning of the surrounding properties were not shown on the site plan, but I did include them for you guys so there was a visual reference as to what was around there. Whoops, I put 14 twice. A15 and 16, no traffic study was required due to there already being one for the current use of the property of the truck stop. And there won't be anything going onto the roadways or anything like that. It'll all be contained within their own driving lanes already. B, that skips everything in that because it's not proposed in the downtown mixed-use district. And then C9, CDE, the proposed project is not a building that would need to follow the standards that are listed under that section of the review. Since it is simply just charging stations with a canopy going over it, it's not an actual building. Going back to the zoning thing, everything around them is commercial C1 to the northeast and south, and then to the west of them, it is zoned mobile home park. Even though it's used more as like an RV park currently. Which an RV park would fall under C1.
Probably the biggest change from what was in your packet, and that's why we included these 2 pages or Zach went ahead and copied and put them at your places, is it moved from, and we had talked in the 2 or 3 discussions that Zach had with Iona. It was going to be on the south side of the 24/7 parcel, south of the truck parking, and have a frontage road to it. However, now, the better location for a couple of different reasons was going to be at the north end. And the first page that we gave you that Josh has up on the screen right now, it shows the gas tanks are right next to the yellow line, and the frontage road in front of it is just off of K27 next to the green swale. That road would be extended, and then the dog park is just off the concrete as it shows on that picture there. And the charging stations would be just on the north side of that, still on that parcel.
If you go to the next picture, Josh, it kind of gives there's a,
And that's the other paper that we included at your chairs, which shows the additional frontage road, which is all that's in the hatch, the crosshatch. And then it comes around and the parking stalls are next to the dog park. And so there would be enough room to back in or back out of the parking space.
And then it looks like they're not gonna connect back around, so you turn around right there and go back out the way you came in.
Mhm.
Usually you back in anyway, your car, right?
Into the charging
Yeah.
station.
Awful
Yeah.
lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, and then, so you just pull,
Then you just go back out.
yeah.
And I'm assuming the reason it doesn't extend around is because they do have a shop there already, a garage, an accessory building. And then also they have the concrete pad that all of their fuel tanks sit under that get fueled up. So that sits just to the west of that dog park there. So to prevent anything going on top of them, I'm sure they didn't want to go out that way.
Go around. Yep.
Did the applicants want to say
Yes,
anything?
the applicants are here if you guys would like to ask them questions.
Good evening. I'm Andres with Ayana. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
I also have my engineer, Andrew, with 3V3I.
I noticed Zach mentioned that you have no, water drainage on your plan. Is that gonna, is that,
So that was more so towards the south side, because there is a retention pond already
Okay.
on that south side of that property.
uh-huh,
With it going to the north side, it's not gonna be as bad as it would be changing the flow of the water on the south side.
it's not gonna affect like the property to the west in terms of if there's like a big.
So all that water flows to the east.
Okay, okay. That was my big question.
And that's the intention of the concrete, correct?
Yeah, this is Andrew from 3v3I. That is kind of the intention here. Everything slopes to the north
Okay.
on the parking stalls and to the east on the drive access slightly, so that the water does move naturally the way that it currently does into the drainage ditch.
Okay.
And then what about the no on the lighting? So there's KDOT's got a interstate exit right there. Is the, not having the lighting plan figured out, I guess maybe Zach, this is a question for you, is that, I mean, is that something that we need to see before?
I don't think it would be anything from the structure. My concern would be the cars, but most people turn their cars off while they're charging them. So you won't have headlights shining right into people as they're getting off the highway right there.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to try to illuminate all the way out to the highway when you have a canopy and you can direct the light straight down onto the vehicle.
True. You did say there was a canopy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Those would be really nice with that canopy.
I don't know that I have any other questions.
I don't,
So there's only 7 charging stations, is what I'm seeing. Is that
I,
right?
The plans that have the road curving right at that corner, I do want to make sure there is a sewer manhole at that location and also a number of water valves. Would want to make sure that it is not within the roadway surface right at that corner. Just
We
so-
did actually, yeah, we did actually have somebody go out there and scan it to make sure that we are away from those, and those ports are just past that curved end of the road there.
Okay. That was the one concern from staff members.
Okay. So it sounds like they got that covered then.
They do.
Zach, anything else in the application that would hang you up? I know you had some no's, but it sounds like you got a plan before a permit would be issued anyway, so,
Correct.
okay. Grady, any questions? Kind of quiet over there.
No? I mean, I got a question, but nothing relates to this. I mean, I kind of shared in my email earlier. Do we have a plan? Let's say we don't have this anymore, you know, we don't need it, and what's the plan for removing?
right.
So that's kind of, I don't think that's part of this, so.
Yeah, be separate
We
from
can
this.
ask them right now. Is there any plan to, plan for removal if they ever had ended up where they weren't being used anymore? Is there any plan from the outset regarding that?
We're signing a multi-year lease with Ted, the landowner, so our ideal is to have this for 10, 15, 20 years, right? So we're kind of also future-proofing our network, so we don't plan on going away.
And maybe just for my own unawareness, ignorance, an EV charging station is essentially just wiring going into some sort of above ground base, right? There's no battery storage or anything like that there?
I'll say not right now. Maybe one day we'll come back and get, when battery and solar gets to better technology, it's more efficient, we might come back, but for now, we're just running off a transformer for the power for the chargers.
Makes sense, okay.
And the transformer will be a certain distance away from the actual charging stations. So,
Of course, they are shown on, I believe, on one of the next pages of the plan, but I can let Andrew speak more directly to that.
It'd be page 6, I believe. And then if you zoom in, it'll be on the left-hand side of where the concrete stops. I'll just come up there and point it.
I think I see what you're getting at, Zach, there, clear off right there.
So right in this area is where they would be, the concrete stops there, obviously, so.
And then they're just on to the west.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, okay.
And just to add clarification, the power pole that would be coming off of is directly north of this, near the highway. That's about 150 feet for the primary run.
assume that's underground to the transformer?
Yeah,
That's correct.
and it'll be a pad mount transformer.
Okay.
We tried to get Bluetooth, but they don't do that
They
yet.
don't do Bluetooth yet?
Oh, shucks.
Okay, any other questions, Grady? Mary Ellen?
I'm good.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion.
Oh, where it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to
What
find
does, what
I've
it
got it.
says.
I'll do it. I've got it.
Okay.
I move that we approve the site plan review for the addition of the 24/7 travel store property at 2710 Commerce Road as completed by the building official.
I'll second.
All right, moved by Matt, seconded by Grady. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everybody, so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to building this. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds
Yes.
good, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, moving on to the next bullet point, the adult entertainment establishments, permitted conditional use zone districts and limitation of distance.
Okay, I found, I don't know, maybe it's because, maybe it's two different things, but on amended code section 19 dash 502C, then it's got C1, no adult entertainment establishment may be located within 1,000 feet of any of the following. And then on a page back here, it said 500 feet.
Yeah,
Did you
that's
see
right.
that?
That's
Yeah.
all the same. Yeah, that's what
Okay,
Okay, what was in your packet is the first thing in your packet, it says ordinance 1796 at the top of it.
yeah,
And then it says section 1, and then it has the current code. And that wouldn't be there in the final ordinance, that's just
right,
to show you
right.
what the current code says in the definitions. And then the amended code has that much simpler definition, which was what the recommendation was from Barb, and what you directed staff to put in there. So that's the first thing as far as 19202. Is there any questions regarding that? And then section 2 says that the Goodland Municipal Code, section 19501 use table. Remember, we did all that stuff with that big colorful table. And if we're going to change to a conditional use, or, you know, to have somewhere where it's allowed to be, even if there's a lot of regulations regarding it, we need to change the use table as well. So that section 2 has the current little, just a section of the table. And it basically says C, under use standards, which item C said prohibited.
Yeah.
Right,
And then the amended code shows the zoning districts, and again, just that word, and it changes from adult entertainment facility to adult entertainment establishment. And then has a C under C1, which would be conditional use. Does that make sense to y'all, or?
Yes.
Okay.
very clear.
And then section 3, the Goodland Municipal Code 19502 be amended as follows. And basically the 19502C, which I just included the statement about the conditional use standards of the section that apply to permitted conditional use and accessory uses as noted. That's the beginning of the whole list from A to, what are we at, CC or DD now, or something like that?
Yeah.
And then there's letter C, which is the adult, it's actually adult entertainment facilities are hereby prohibited. That's what the current code says. And then it says in the amended code, 19502C, Adult entertainment establishments may be located only in a C1 district zoning under the zoning ordinance of the city and only in such locations without such a zoning classification which complies with the following requirements and restrictions. So then there's
Right.
all these restrictions
Yeah.
that we wanted. And then it says, no adult entertainment establishment may be located within 1,000 feet of any of the following.
Right.
Daycare, school, public or private, park or playground, church or synagogue or all the others, and then a boundary of a residential district. And then any other sexually oriented business as to which a license is required under this ordinance. So those were the items that I put in here. That is one question I wanted to have with you, if that is what you would like to have identified there. Because when I was looking through all the other examples, and I included a little spreadsheet,
Yes.
it started going all over the place.
Yes.
And I was like, to me, it's became a confusion tactic, because I couldn't.
Yeah.
And for our purposes, and some communities have 500, some have 300, and some have 1,000. Just depends. But then they added all these other criteria. But for our purposes, and as far as the zoning, which is the green, so it can only be located in the green.
Right.
And then if just adding, the daycare is not that critical, but the school, church, park, which is 3 of the most common ones, almost
Yep.
everybody has that. That takes out, and a residential district, the boundary of a residential district. Then he's putting it up on the big screen so that
Right.
it's so figured. That would make it really impossible along all the green that's along 17th Street.
Right.
And then up Main Street,
Right.
there's parks
Yeah.
and also
It
residents.
takes all those out. Yeah.
Right.
And then same with the area along Caldwell
Right.
and that area, but, the fairgrounds, but,
Right.
Yeah.
that really wouldn't be a possibility anyway. And even this area over by the college,
Yeah. Because, yeah.
because
Too
it's
close to the school.
next to a park.
Yeah. And
Right.
park. Yeah.
Right.
And probably close enough to the high school and
Yeah.
the school, not college.
Especially, yeah, with the, yeah.
So basically, everything north of the railroad tracks, I think, is covered with just those, and trying to make it as simple as possible.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be,
It needs to be very clear so that there isn't, people looking for a loophole.
right.
Right.
But then along Highway 24 and K-27, then that leaves those areas. Now, there would be areas along Highway 24 that would be an issue. The mobile home parks is residential zone,
Yeah.
Right.
so those become an issue.
Right.
There's a church over on this end,
Right.
there's a church in the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
There really isn't along this way. There is a church, but it's outside this city.
Right.
And for our purposes, since Goodland has no extraterritorial zoning, and there's really no land use, designated land use, we need to count for anything that's within the city limits. So it doesn't matter that there's a church just outside the city limits, or that the residences in
Armstrong.
Armstrong. I always mix the two up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
That's
outside
Armstrong.
city limits.
Now, there are 2 houses there
Yeah.
that are actually in the city limits. So those would count, but the church is right on the other
Church is
side
right
of the
there,
field
too.
from them. So that's kind of the same thing. So it would take out a chunk here in the middle. But then it would leave K-27, this mobile home park,
Mhm.
which, I don't know, half of it's camping, but it's zoned.
It's zoned for that.
Yeah.
So it really leaves the area north of I-70 up to about the intersection of 24 and 27.
Yeah,
And then probably a little bit coming down 24.
within this area.
Yeah.
And
So it's
I
just
don't-
that little,
And we'll have to map it, and actually, one of them was kind of neat, Salina actually had a map created showing the areas that were possible.
right where it was. Yeah, well, I think that would be good
Yeah,
for us to
that
have as
would
well.
That would be good, yeah.
So,
That would be really good.
but, so that was the third section.
Okay.
As far as the distance, both as far as 1,000 feet, and then also from what's things that it needs to be 1,000 feet from.
Yeah.
Now, the one caveat
Is Walmart.
is Walmart.
They're 500 feet from the ball field's property line.
And
Oh.
have said
So-
merchandise in their store.
And have said merchandise in their store. And they
They
have.
do?
They have, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yep, they have for about 6 months, 7 months.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, yeah.
It's in the display case with other adult use items.
Well, I guess I just don't shop in that section.
Yeah.
But,
Whoa.
now,
Come down the shampoo aisle.
that's where definite, where they had the definition before about so much of sales, that kind of is how Walmart got excluded.
Because the code was so unclear.
Yeah, it was so unclear,
And they
and it was
grandfathered
never
in now, right?
enforced. And it doesn't have to be grandfathered in,
No?
but I really don't. I don't know if it would be in our best interest to take on legally regarding Walmart. We can let them know, and that's our rule, but
Yeah.
if they
Right.
fight it, that's money that could be used elsewhere.
Right, right,
Yeah. But
right.
it doesn't solve the concern you had of kids
Yeah. What we're,
having access to that stuff.
now they can't get it off the shelf.
No.
It's in a locked cabinet, but it's there.
Yeah.
And there's been people caught shoplifting of that specific materials. So, I have no idea regarding ages or anything like that,
Right.
but there's,
Well, I think we keep making progress where we're headed right now. We've got some very clear language. We got the rules out of the definitions. We got that cleaned up and made it clear. The amendments you are proposing right here in the code seem pretty clear and straightforward to me. Let's get all that in place and then we'll figure out
other stuff.
the Walmart piece.
Yeah.
If anything, that's an awareness thing for them to bring up, and maybe there's a way to work through that without
Right.
having to go have a heavy arm.
Right. Now, that 30% thing, is that necessary?
I don't think so. I've been reading these codes for the last 2 weeks, so,
Yes.
and they kind of morph together for me.
Yes.
But there are other communities that do different things to address that type of thing. Because it isn't just Walmart, it's
Walgreens,
Walgreens
Target.
and CVS and all the
All
other,
those stores, yeah.
those type of
Really?
things. It's similar. And so it's not, and, what our concerns are more that it's a specific part of the business rather than just something that's almost
It's not like an
not
adult.
even people are aware of. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't
Right.
know I was aware of it until this came up. So,
Well, right.
I don't think that, I don't want the dilution of it to be an excuse that, okay, they can get away from it because it's a very small little part and you wouldn't notice. But I think what we're getting at right now is this would make it very hard for somebody to have a very specific store just for this.
right.
Right.
Right. And so that's just the only caveat to what the current ordinance is. The other thing I provided you, and then Grady pointed out, and Mary Ellen's pointed out here, is I gave you an example of licenses,
Right,
which is a different part. You know, you know, we had brought it up saying we'd like licensing as well
right,
in the code. And put a little bit of that in the manager memo, just saying the licensing I can see more as in a different part of the code. It really doesn't have to do with zoning. It's kind of
right.
the operational characteristic of it.
Yep.
And it acts more like, to me, it's real similar to CMB licensing or liquor licensing,
Right,
Yes.
where it goes through those
right.
type of procedures. And so I couldn't get to it enough to get it in the packet to have an example ordinance for you. So I wanted to provide an example from another community of just the licensing portion. And I'm sorry if that was confusing. I should have put a little bit more of a header on it or something to let you know that it wasn't. But I think you brought up a good question, Grady, as far as it goes. I also, and he'll put it, and Josh has put it up on the screen, and I'll hand you because it's probably pretty hard for you to see in the screen. I'll give you a copy that you can have in front of
Thank
you.
you.
And this
What
is
other
12
cities?
different communities across the state. And what they provide as far as licensing, or at least what's in their code. And 2 or 3 of them is kind of interesting in the middle. Didn't hardly have anything. Garden City and Hayes, nothing.
Yeah, right.
And then Pittsburgh, just the license is required. And then it's done through, it's not in the code, I'm sure it's just done administratively. And that might be how Garden City and Hayes handle it too. But then all the other communities, you can see again, a lot of it gets, sometimes it gets like a lot, like the example you brought up, Mary, Ellen, as far as Newton.
Yeah,
That gets to be
They have just about
a
all
lot
the
of
boxes
details.
checked.
yes. Well, but that, I mean, a lot of details doesn't necessarily preclude it being simple.
Right.
It's just very clear.
It's very clear, but it's also a lot of different things to, is it going to go wrong? And,
Well, if it does, then they can't sell it.
no,
I
I
think
meant
that-
as far as administrative.
No, for us.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't want to overcomplicate.
No,
Jack
and I
Ken's
agree
jobs.
with you
know,
too.
they have to do the
No,
work.
the main thing is, they have to, they have to really want to do it.
Sure, sure.
I mean,
Your highlights over here with that things I mean, why'd you highlight some of these over here?
Those were the most common.
Common.
okay,
Most common and also I think the most evident, and they're most similar to how CMB and different types of alcohol is done now.
Okay.
There's a couple of them that, in addition to that, I just wanted to let you guys give some input before I tell you, hey, this is it. The one that I thought was, I don't know, some people do it that way as far as city commission approval of each one or not. That can get kind of strange sometimes. So that's why you only see 2 or 3 do it out of the 12. And I don't know if you have enough criteria, going to your point, Mary Ellen, as far as making sure details are there. If you have enough criteria, then administratively, then it becomes clear whether it's yes or no.
right,
And it's not a political decision, it's
right,
do you meet the criteria?
Yeah,
right. And that's the way it should be.
I think that's better.
I definitely, you don't need to have a big brouhaha every time.
Right.
I mean, I
Every
mean,
time the
it's,
license comes up.
right,
And some of the things regarding adult entertainment establishments talks about not the materials, but more the
Service.
person-to-person thing
Yes.
or those type of things. That's a whole different category.
right.
I
And
mean,
that's
as
not
far
what
as
we're talking
licensing.
about here.
It's, it's just the adult material. So, when they talk right at the second one, or third one, license required for the managers, servers, entertainers, that's more, to me, the people thing.
Yeah, that's a different.
You know,
Right.
a new clerk, I don't think, no, not every clerk needs to be, have a license.
That's oppressive administratively because there's gonna be a lot of turnover.
Right.
Right,
And if you guys have to go through a process every time they hire a new employee, all you're gonna be doing is working applications.
Well, and to me, going back to the big entity on Walmart,
Yeah.
you're gonna require them for every
single-
clerk to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
right.
But then the entry and inspection, to me, that's, until there's a problem, I wouldn't add it to the code, because just like with the smoke shops or the liquor stores or the CMB, officers should be allowed in to view
yeah.
everything, and usually it's not a problem with,
Right,
you develop good relations with the owners.
right. I mean, I know when we owned a restaurant, we were subject to hop-in inspection. And, you know, and that's where I guess the 30% thing, I hope I'm not bringing like something from another discussion into this, but that 30% thing to me is a loophole, because all you gotta do is have 29%.
So here would be my question. Are you gonna go count every single piece of inventory?
That's what I was gonna
Right.
say too. Then
That's true.
we've tried to take some of those things out of the code we've cleaned up
Right.
already, where it's, somebody has to go physically do that and figure out and do math. There's just too much room for error there, or ways to hide things, or,
Well, and if you think of a smoke shop, how many of those little tiny vapes can you
Right.
fit on a shelf?
yeah.
Compared to just 3 boxes on this rack, 3 boxes on this one.
Yeah. I think that adds a lot of administration.
Well, yeah, to me, if there's, I guess this is because it irks me that they're wanting to do that, and that is, I need to forget that it irks me. I mean, really.
Yeah, we don't have to agree with it.
We don't, and I know
We
that,
have-
I know
We have to
that,
follow
I
the
know.
precedent
But I
and
don't-
statutes and all that.
We
so.
do, and and quite honestly, I do respect their right to have that kind of a business. I do. And I don't want administrative burden to be too heavy for you guys, at all. I just feel like licensing, so we know what's going on. They can declare themselves. And, a pop-in every so often, I mean, one of the things was the age of people that could be in there. Dealing with that, you can't hire a high school kid there, I don't think.
I would
Like
guess.
McDonald's would, or like I know that, we hired high school kids, 15, 16-year-olds. But I don't think that they should be, I mean, I guess if their parents think it's okay, I don't want to, but,
It's probably though
There's
already
enough
in
other
an
jobs.
establishment that they have already with this vape shop.
You
smoke
have to
shop.
be
I would guess
21
that
to
the
go in
police
there.
department is already.
21, okay, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Or already stopping for regular inspection for that anyway.
are they?
I'm sure they are. That's enforcing the law.
Yeah.
So that's a little different.
Well, and they've visited both the vape shop that's on Main Street
Right,
and the one out there. And they've contacted both owners,
Right.
and I think multiple times, so it isn't just one over, it's
Yeah.
to check. But they're already gonna have those issues with the vape, as far as the age requirements statutorily and all that stuff.
They're gonna be there for that already.
The issue is that there's still a gas station,
Right.
so it's,
But then it goes back to the Walmart thing. Are we gonna make every single person in Walmart have to be 21 to go in there?
well, I'm talking about working there.
Walmart too.
Deal. They would hire.
Then you
Well-
couldn't hire some of these college kids that need a job while they're here for the school year.
but
I mean,
also
I
high
don't see
school.
a problem
Well, I'm
with
talking
saying,
about,
hey, they can hire who they hire, but if they're gonna be providing, it's just like alcohol, they can't sell alcohol. They can't even get it off the shelf for them.
Correct.
I mean,
So like at
as long as they meet
Shiraz,
those rules.
yeah, like at
That's
Shiraz,
right.
they can't pour the alcohol,
Right,
but they
Right.
can carry it to a table.
right, but I mean, as long as we say, hey, you can work at Walmart, but as far as this section, you gotta be 21 or whatever the age of, the law is. I think that's.
see, I'm just thinking, I mean, like, by the time you get to college, I'm thinking like 18 even. By the time you get to college, you know, if you're away from home, you're gonna be able to do what you want anyway. I mean, pretty much you should, but, and it's different, but, high school kids is more what I worry about. Because they're still usually at home, still, I mean, they're not able to vote, they're not able to do a lot of things. And so to me, 18 would, more than 21 would be more reasonable, but I don't know, maybe there's laws already governing it.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
are you,
I'm trying to think back. I think it was you have to be 18 to sell nicotine at like a gas station, for example.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it would be the same way for the smoke shop since it's nicotine as well.
Right, okay. So really, that doesn't even need to be covered here. Okay,
I don't think so.
okay. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
No,
No.
it's fine.
These are great
This is a
questions, yeah.
complicated topic.
Yeah.
This is not-
It is, and it's like, yeah, I can't, it'll be interesting when the public hearing comes
Well,
around.
I think this is not only complicated, but I think it's one of the things that we've talked about. It's probably one of the more serious and more, you know, most important thing that we can do right now,
Right,
you know, so.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get it right
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
on all sides. For
Yeah.
people have rights to do what they
They
want,
do.
but at the same time, we have,
they do, and, but
Everyone's
you know,
interested.
one of the things,
I guess the one thing I mean, I like this. I wanna be fair and all that, but if we can make it as difficult as we can, I'm okay with it.
that's where I am
You know,
too.
I mean, I don't wanna say no because that's their right, like we said, but I don't wanna make it easy for anybody.
we can create a path. Doesn't have to be a very wide one.
That's where I really am,
So
and
on this
so-
list of things, I mean, obviously I really like what you highlighted, Kent.
Mhm.
I mean, I think those are good things. Some of these other ones,
The only thing I want to make sure of, and this may take some additional thinking on it and talking with the legal. I think this is a good start as far as the category that we're talking about.
yeah,
About, just want to make sure on the other categories, we're not missing anything.
yes.
Or if it's, and you can have, for this category, this is the licensing procedure, and then for this category, this is the licensing procedure. And, which might be a better way to handle it, so then it doesn't get confusing
Right,
unless the other one would ever, would ever be a possibility. I don't see it being, but would ever
Well-
be.
yeah, I never thought Walmart would do that either, but they did.
But for you,
That was-
this is kind of the whole thing, we have the ordinance that, if you want us to keep looking at it and make sure on everything, because I didn't run it past Jay, but that could be done and we could set a public hearing for next time on March,
Mhm.
whatever,
Yeah,
the same date, March 11th, for next month to take care of that ordinance and continue to work on the licensing ordinance, which doesn't require a public hearing because it's part of the regular part of the code.
okay.
Okay.
The only ones requiring a public hearing are on the zoning and subdivision.
Okay.
And you guys take care of those chapters. But on any other chapter, if the city commission wants to add additional rules or regulations, that's what they're elected to do.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily have to hold a public hearing.
So with I think the ordinance part is pretty easy especially with the amendments you've already put in this packet. With the licensing thing, continue to be our discussion then, or does that need to just go to the city commission and let them decide on licensing for that?
I would, it's whether you guys are, I think it would be better coming with a recommendation from the planning commission. Not being, doesn't have to be in final form ordinance, but
If we took them a list like this and got it to where the things we thought were good, then at least
Yeah.
that gives them a little initial
it gives you,
direction.
gives you some initial direction. And it's just whether, okay, is it far enough along yet, or would you like some additional review and perspective of it before you make that recommendation? That's basically the question for you right now, as far as the licensing part.
Yeah.
As far as the other, and I think they should go together to the city commission.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not gonna present the licensing before
Right.
the other ordinance would go to the city commission, because they go together. There's
Yeah.
no reason to have one without the other. So, those are kind of the choices. Is that kind of clear to you?
Yeah.
As far as actions that you could take?
The other question I have too is, so our current ordinance, you know, we are, is there anything we can do now that says, let's say somebody comes in tomorrow and says, hey, I want to do this, and this is what this is what the ordinance says. What can we do to say, hey, hold off, we're redoing that? Is that legal to do that, or legit to do that?
Well, right now, we say it's prohibited,
Okay.
even though I can go purchase it at Walmart, but it's prohibited.
Okay,
The answer is no right now.
okay,
But
okay,
leaving the answer no opens the city up for litigation.
okay, that's,
So we need to,
So actually, as of currently, we do have that blocker in place.
okay, all right, I just wanted, that's why I wanted to make sure we had something, so, something.
Now, normally, if we came up with something and it was a bigger issue, or saying we're working on it, we could communicate that with the applicant, but that doesn't mean that, or that we're not taking any applications. And since this isn't a commercial zone, I guess that's where I was going. And we have to do certain things if they want. There's that type of thing that you can do. But we have an additional blocker right now.
yeah, so it's blocked for now.
Okay, okay, okay. And I guess the other question I had too is, I know sometimes if you have a private business or private license, I'm not a business owner, but people can do what they kind of want to do. Is this still, is what we put in here still abide to them, those people? The reason I'm asking, because I know several years ago, there used to be a bar on Main Street called Louis.
Yeah, Louis Yarger.
And they had some
Yeah.
stuff in there too, but it was a private business, so that's why I was wondering if that
Well,
was.
wasn't his stuff like only like by, like like a
Yeah, it was a
membership?
member, it was
Yeah,
a
membership.
private
Members
private
only
club.
thing.
Right,
It wasn't
exactly.
open to the public.
Private
Right,
club.
but
Yeah.
how
What's
they
that?
like
A
could be
private
members.
club.
Yeah, private, yeah, so I didn't know if this, what we're doing, would that prevent that too, or is that,
They have to abide by the rules of the municipal code as well.
okay,
Where that would get into a private club would be regarding the liquor. Now, other activities, you can't do illegal activities behind. I wouldn't want to say I'm 100% certainty, no, but it's prohibited. But this zoning code was put in, or that was put in probably 25 years ago. I don't know, back in the 80s and 90s, when the establishment you're talking about was here, I don't know what the zoning code was at that time.
I know it was in the nineties, but I mean, I went there one time and I was like, oh, that's enough of that. I mean, I didn't know, you know, but, I mean, basically it's just video. Playing, but it's still something, you know. But- So I just didn't know, I was just trying to get some clarification on that, how that works.
I don't know what the code was at that time, so I can't
Okay.
tell you.
Okay.
And that might, to me, I shouldn't assume. That's what I assume why that prohibited got put in the code is
Well, that's,
because,
yeah, that very well could be, yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess a path forward here. We could set a public hearing for next time on the amendments to the ordinance that were in the packet tonight. So we could get that moving forward. But I don't think it sounds like we're ready to settle on where the licensing is gonna land yet, right? We probably wanna think about this list a little bit more and make sure we have everything on it that we want. Am I hearing you guys right? Is that kind of where you feeling, or?
Sounds
Yeah,
good to me,
I'm
yeah.
okay with that.
I'm good with that too.
So then my
Yeah.
question is, should we wait on the public hearing so we can do the ordinance amendments and the licensing stuff at the same time? Because like Kent just said, he doesn't want to take it to the city commission. I wouldn't want him
Right.
to until
Mhm.
everything is buttoned up and it's
Right.
all together.
Right.
Well, see, that's what I was wondering
And if we
too,
were-
if we should maybe have one more work session like this,
Correct.
and then a public hearing in April?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they can still recommend it to the city commission and we can hold off taking it to them until we get done with the licensing, correct? Or does it have to go that next meeting?
It doesn't have to go in the next meeting, and their recommendation, as far as timing, there's nothing regarding that. But,
Well,
it's whatever you
so
guys
let
are
me ask you this, guys.
comfortable
Are you guys in a good enough spot on the ordinance and the amendments that we could get that off our plates and then focus on the licensing? Or would you rather just wait and think about it a little bit more?
I would say, it's kind of like you said earlier, just kind of get it all together. And that's my recommendation.
Yeah,
So
and then just
So I
have
think-
one big
yeah,
old
let's-
messy public hearing.
let's have our March meeting.
Mhm.
Maybe that gives us a chance to run some of the stuff by Jake and get his legal opinion.
Sure.
Then we'll get this licensing list built to what we feel good about. We'll set the public hearing, we'll get all this tackled and moved on and ready to recommend something to the city commission in April.
What, regulations, general, I would, but like, what's a general regulation?
It's all over the place, like what the hours are supposed to be.
Okay, that's
um,
what I meant. I
What their
mean, yeah.
lighting and
Okay,
a couple had sign, not many had sign regulations. Again, that gets to be tricky when you're trying to tell them regarding signage. But I think I got an example that can be included because I know that was important to you.
Yeah, signage is important. Yep.
it is.
But, so it's those type of things.
Okay,
So,
Yeah.
it was a mishmash.
miscellaneous regulations.
Yeah, it was that too. Yeah.
That's where the administration grows like this.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess the other question I'll throw out there is there, okay, let's say they don't abide by whatever rules. Who, what's the penalty and who makes the penalty or verifies that?
Well, that's why, the penalty, if you violate this, there's a penalty section usually in most of these,
Okay.
the licenses.
So we would grab the wording from something somebody
Okay.
already established probably.
Yeah, and then, a few had suspension and revocation if they didn't abide. Again, that's more with the other categories
Okay.
than this one, because it should be fairly well set how
Yeah.
you operate this type of
Mhm.
business, but the others are a little much more. But that's why the suspension and revocation category, and I didn't yellow that could be on there, could be included within the licensing.
Okay.
Well, I do know that, with our restaurant, if we had the same infraction more than once, they always find an infraction of some sort at a restaurant. But if we continued to not take care of that, then we would lose our license. It wasn't like, if we, even a serious infraction that could cause a health bad problem, they would make us correct it there. And then if they came back and we'd slip back into the old habits, then it would be a suspension of some sort. So, I don't know that,
I wonder if it could be written into the penalty. Or if the,
Sometimes it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Because,
needs
I
to
mean,
be
I just
separate
don't think
things.
it's just, I mean, you know, if if you're short-staffed or you have a bad day or whatever, you know, even though if this were my kid, it would be zero tolerance, you know what I mean? But to be fair, I don't think it's right to just, you walk in and you've got this infraction, you know, off with your head.
You get a, yeah,
I
you get
mean,
an
maybe
ability to correct your
you
infraction.
should.
Well, and that's why the officers inspected both
Mhm.
vape shops right when they opened, and since we're so close to the border with our neighboring state to the west,
Right.
and there were some things that needed to be corrected, and they took care of it, and it got taken care of.
Yeah.
But now that they know, it's
It's a different
a
story,
different story.
right?
So then what, I guess the ask I would have is, so for next time, we'll come back, I think, you know, the amendments are probably okay in the ordinance. We give us a little bit more time to read through and ask questions next time. But if we had sort of this license process a little more spelled out with kind of what, I would suggest starting with the highlighted ones unless there's something else you guys really want to make sure we catch too. I don't know that I need much more than that, but open to what you guys want. We have that kind of spelled out, then we can take some progress forward. on
And be able to take some actions,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
set the public hearing, and then also make a recommendation on license.
yes,
Even if you recommend it at the March one, that doesn't mean that will be.
yeah,
Right.
And the recommendation isn't really required, but I think it would show it all together and show that the
Yeah.
planning commission has looked at multiple aspects of
yeah.
this issue.
I think it'd be good if we at least had a recommendation for the commission, so.
Yeah,
That
and
fair?
I would hate to go through 2 public hearings on this subject anyway.
Well, we won't need one for the license,
Oh, that's true, never mind.
so
That is
it's
true.
only one. But I
That's
would
good.
just
But
still
you
like
know
to
what?
do it at the, let's just get it done in one time and move on. Okay, that's the plan. Fair enough?
Mhm.
Okay, moving on, I think.
Yay.
Reports. Grady, anything to report?
No, I just have a question. I noticed on Caldwell and 10th, there's a guy selling, he sells like
Golf carts?
golf carts and stuff.
I've addressed it with him
Okay.
once.
All right, I just been
Sells
noticing
places-
it. and
sells places for sale now.
Then I'm seeing cars there, and so I'm just kind of just.
I addressed it with him and got told I ruined his Christmas, and then
Oh.
they disappeared for a couple weeks, and then they started showing back up.
Okay.
So
Ah, humbug.
I mean, I don't want to mess anybody's Christmas up, but I'm just putting it out there just so you guys know, so.
And it's only on the weekends.
Yep. Looks like the property could be purchased.
Yeah.
There you go, Grady.
I might call him on that. My wife is looking for
Add to your
more stores.
portfolio. Yeah, that's exactly right.
hey, there is a bathroom in that
Is it?
shop.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough. Anything else, Grady?
That's awesome.
Mary Ellen?
No, I think I talked enough.
I have nothing. Kent, any reports? No. Zach, anything to report? Oh, you're not watching basketball?
78-70, Goodland won.
Good. Okay, minutes. Everybody have a chance to look at the minutes from last
Yes,
time? Any
yes.
additions, corrections, adjustments?
Can we back up just real quick?
Yes.
I did have one question I meant to ask. I put it on my email. Is there something that we need to put in place? Like, I think it's great that people build and stuff, but is there something that communities do or different planning commissions put in place that if they move out or they leave, they're responsible for kind of cleaning it up or removing certain structures or anything like that? I mean, because it just seems like we see all these old poles and
So-
buildings and whatever.
To go along that, I've been looking at a few other cities and I'm working on putting it together right now, but it's called a vacant building program.
Uh-huh.
And anybody that owns a vacant building would have to register it with the city with a game plan as to what they're going to do. And then if that is not completed, every year after that, the fee to apply for that goes up.
Okay,
So it gets a little more into their pocketbook every year they don't do something with it.
okay.
But I'm in the works on that one.
Yeah, I was just curious, because it seems like if somebody sells a business or they leave town, they got this structure there. It's just an eyesore, you know, and if, just trying to help eliminate some of that.
I think it's a good thing.
Mhm.
It'd be a good thing to have a plan, so, yeah, looking forward to what you get pulled together.
Sorry.
No, fair enough. You had that in your note. We should have talked about it, so. Okay, now let's move on to minutes. Sound like you guys are good?
Yes.
All right, I move that we approve the January 14th, 2025 minutes as posted.
I'll second.
Moved by Matt, seconded by Grady. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right. Motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Hey,
Thank
well.